Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 6 o'clock. Time to begin our January 8th meeting. This time we'll call ourselves to order, and we'll go to consent agenda. Mr. Fagan.
Thank you, Mayor and members of City Council. The consent agenda is used by City Council to consider items that are non-controversial and routine. The consent agenda is acted upon by one motion and vote of the council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda at the request of a council member or citizen with the consent of council. The consent agenda contains the following items. The first, item number 1, is for the purpose of calling 2 public hearings to be held on February 5th, 2019. The first hearing is for a text amendment request to amend the Code of Ordinances, Historic Properties, Section 152.057, titled Action on an Application for Certificate of Appropriateness, and the Zoning Code, Section 156.201, titled Certificates of Appropriateness Generally. The second hearing is for a zoning map amendment request for property located near the intersection of North Charlotte Avenue and Dixon Boulevard from Conditional District Dixon Boulevard Residential to Conditional District Fraser Court, and a text amendment request to amend the Code of Ordinances Zoning Code Section 15698 titled Conditional Districts Established, and Section 156.106 titled Official Zoning Map Generally. Item 2 is for the purpose of awarding the contract to Perfection Equipment Company in the amount of $192,332.10 for seats in the Center Theater. Item 3 is for the purpose of awarding the contract to D.H. Griffin Wrecking Company, Inc. in the amount of $119,000 for the demolition of 320 and 322 East Franklin Street, which is adjacent to the Science Center building site. Item 4 involves minutes and reports. Item 4A involves disbursements from City Council's discretionary fund, and there were 4 sets of disbursements for this period. First of which was Mayor Bobby Kilgore, who made two disbursements, which includes one to the Union County Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. organization in the amount of $25, and the second to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Committee, Inc. in the amount of $25. Item 2 involved Mayor Pro Tem Gary Anderson, who made 4 disbursements, which includes one to the Union County Chamber of Commerce in the amount of $50, Bridging of the Gap in the amount of $150, the third, Community Shelter Union of Union County in the amount of $100, and the fourth one to the Union County Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Organizations Banquet in the amount of $50. The third set of disbursements was made by Councilmember Saluda Anthony to the Rotary Club of Monroe in the amount of $400, and the fourth from Councilmember Lynn Kazaya, who made two sets of disbursements, the first of which to Union County Playmakers in the amount of $2,250, and the second to Help Crisis Pregnancy Center in the amount of $750. Item B is financial reports for December 2018, and as a summary, I'll highlight several fund balance amounts. The total fund balance is $28,563.16. A few subsets of fund balance include fund balance reserved by policy, and that amount is $10,106,092. The unassigned general fund balance is $5 million and change, and the total assigned fund balance is $2,106,000 and change. There are 9 sets of minutes lettered 4C through I, and item J is summary of contracts awarded, change orders approved, and city manager's settlement of claims. And there were 46 contracts for the period totaling $494,000 and change, and there were no claims settled during this period. Item 4K is for the purpose of fulfilling the reporting requirements of the utility fee waiver program. Staff has provided in City Council's packet an informational update. And there's no action required of Council. Briefly, in summary, there have been 14 properties receiving waivers totaling approximately $79,000 since the program's inception since 2015. 2 of the recipients' properties have structures currently under construction which are located at 506 East Village Drive and 406 Southwest Street. Item 5 is for the purpose of adopting an ordinance amending Schedule I, parking prohibited at all times by adding to the west side of Dease Street from East Franklin Street to 145 feet south of the center line of Elm Street. Item 6 is for the purpose of accepting provision of a 10-foot wide multi-use path along one side of US Highway 601 and an 8-foot wide sidewalk on the opposite side from US Highway 74 to the Monroe Expressway at an estimated cost of $411,500. A municipal agreement from the North Carolina Department of Transportation will be brought forward at a later date for City Council's consideration. Item 7 is for the purpose of adopting a reimbursement resolution that will allow project-related expenses for the new senior center to reimburse the general fund through an installment financing contract once it has been issued. Item 8 is for the purpose of approving tax releases for the month of November in the amount of $1,893.02. Mayor, members of City Council, this concludes my summary of items placed on your consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, that passed. The regular agenda, request to table public hearing for the Downtown Economic Incentive Grant to Rehab Development of the Piedmont Buggy Works. Mr. Brian Bourne will recognize you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Brian Bourne, Assistant City Manager. City Council approved the call for this public hearing at the November 6, 2018 council meeting. And since that time, staff working with the developer has determined additional time to work out the details of the incentive and the loan that was requested. So therefore, staff is respectfully requesting that council table the public hearing to the February 5th, 2019 City Council regular meeting without further advertising. If council approves this request, the action needed by council would be a motion to table the matter to February 5th, 2019 regular meeting without further advertising.
Okay. Motion to table the matter to February 5th, 2019, regular city council meeting.
Second.
Without further.
Advertising.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that'll pass. Item 10, land acquisition of property located at 307 Kerr Street. This is a public hearing.
Good evening, Lisa Stywinner, the Director of Planning and Development with the City of Monroe. This is a request to consider land acquisitions for 307 and 213 Kerr Street that contain single-family dwellings and are located in the Concord Avenue Master Plan Study Area. City Council adopted the Concord Avenue Master Plan, formerly known as the Kerr Street Small Area Redevelopment Plan, in 2015. The revitalization initiatives for this area actually began in 2005 as a result of concerns and complaints regarding deteriorated, dilapidating dwellings, underutilized retail buildings, dead-end streets, vacant and abandoned buildings, lack of connectivity. So the master plan also included an action plan that provides a broad set of recommendations that includes additional detail in phasing, responsibilities, cost, and funding sources. One of the action items within the plan, it mentions to establish a property acquisition program and to monitor key parcels in the area. So staff has identified 2 single-family dwellings for purchase in order to implement the relevant goals and recommendations of the plan. Goal is to purchase and demolish the dwellings to improve the safety and aesthetics, promote private investment and beneficial redevelopment, and for future potential economic development purposes. Once again, in 2015, the Concord Avenue Master Plan was adopted. Council voted to implement the plan in a proactive manner and designated a project fund to begin the implementation process. Concord Avenue Project Fund has approximately $650,000. Therefore, if council approves the land acquisitions, the money will be taken from this project fund. The General Services Committee was presented the land acquisition request at their November 2015 meeting. November 15th meeting, sorry. and provided a recommendation to move forward to City Council. So staff is recommending the purchase of the two parcels that are located along Kerr Street, 307 Kerr Street, 213 Kerr Street, in the amount of $110,000 for future potential economic development purposes. And I'll be happy to answer any questions, and then there is a resolution in your packet for your review.
Are those properties presently occupied?
Yes.
Does that include relocation fees as well?
Oh, the property owner is responsible for relocating the tenants.
So that $110,000 will cover both properties?
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Thank you, Lee. This is a public hearing. Anyone here who'd like to speak in favor? Hearing none. Anyone here who would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and take action.
I move to approve the land acquisition for properties at 307 and 213 Kerr Street.
Madam Councilmember Anthony, is that a motion to approve the offer to purchase and sale agreement?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, that'll pass.
Mayor, I am,
Yes.
and I was in favor of this action, and I do approve the action. But there is one thing I'd like for the staff to inform the council of, and that is if people who are living in these properties that are being relocated are having difficulty in finding properties that they can afford. I understand that it's up to the owner of the properties to do that, but if they're having problems moving those individuals to properties that are within the price range that they're paying now, I would like the council to at least be made aware of that.
Yes.
So that maybe in the future, this is something we may want to address.
Okay.
Yeah, I might want to add another line there too.
Mayor,
Yeah.
also, you need a motion to approve the resolution to acquire the real property and authorize city manager to staff to execute documents.
I make that motion, Mayor.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? That'll pass also.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Item 11, presentation of comprehensive annual financial report. Lisa Strickland. Oh, hello, Lisa.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm Ashley Ivy with the Finance Department. Here tonight. We have our auditors from Martin Starnes and Associates to present the fiscal year 2018 audit results. So I would like to introduce Mrs. Elsa Watts with Martin Starnes.
Good evening. On behalf of Martin Starnes and Associates, I'd like to present the City of Monroe's audited financial statements. Some audit highlights. The city received an unmodified opinion. This is a clean audit opinion. I'd like to thank Lisa Strickland and Ashley Ivy, as well as the rest of the Finance Department, for all their hard work this year. We stay in contact with them throughout the year regarding the audit process. They're always extremely helpful. It's truly a pleasure working with the City of Monroe. We look forward to continuing that working relationship. Looking at your general fund, revenues for the year total $36.1 million. This is an increase of about 5%. Expenditures totaled $34.3 million. This is an increase of about 7%. I will detail these further along in the presentation. The Local Government Commission defines available fund balance as total fund balance less any non-spendable items which are not in cash form, less items restricted by state statute. The LGC uses this calculation to compare you to other units. Total fund balance for the general fund at year end was $28.5 million, less non-spendable items of $826,000, less items restricted by state statute of $5.5 million. This gives you an available fund balance of $22.2 million. This is an increase in available fund balance of $1.4 million. The increase of $1.4 million is attributed to increases of $922,000 to your property taxes due to an increase in total assessed value. less $2.2 million increase in public safety expenditures due to 3 fire trucks capitalized during the year, plus a $3 million decrease in transfers out to the capital projects fund related to Center Theater, which was done in FY17. Revenues for the general fund were $36.1 million. Of these total revenues, you had property taxes at 59%, sales and services at 7%, unrestricted intergovernmental revenues at 28%, restricted intergovernmental revenues, your federal and state grants, were at 5%, and you had other revenues of approximately 1%. Property taxes were $21.1 million, about a 5% increase there. Unrestricted intergovernmental revenues were $9.9 million, very steady change there. And sales and services were $2.5 million, about an 11% increase there due to new technology fees. Expenditures for the general fund totaled $34.3 million. Of these, you had public safety at 61%, culture and recreation 15%, general government 12%, transportation 9%, and debt service at 3%. General government was at $3.6 million. This is a decrease of about 8% due to decreases in capital outlay. Transportation was at $2.9 million, about a 9% decrease there, also due to decreases in capital outlay. Public safety had expenditures of $21.1 million, a 12% increase there due to the fire trucks capitalized in fiscal year 18. Culture and recreation had a 14% increase up to $5.1 million due to increases in capital outlay. Looking at your enterprise funds, your water and sewer fund had unrestricted net position of $33.3 million, an operating income of $5.7 million, cash flow from operations of $9.4 million, and unrestricted cash of $38.7 million. Your electric fund had unrestricted net position of $50.2 million, an operating income of $3.8 million, cash flow from operations of $5.3 million, and unrestricted cash of $43.6 million. Natural gas had unrestricted net position of $25.3 million, an operating income of $5.6 million, cash flow from operations of $8.4 million, and unrestricted cash of just over $27 million. Your airport fund had unrestricted net position of $789,000, an operating loss of $1.3 million, cash flow from operations of $622,000, and unrestricted cash of $3 million. Your non-major enterprise funds, which include solid waste, stormwater, and your aquatic and fitness center, had unrestricted net position of $2 million, an operating income of $253,000, cash flow from operations of $679,000, and unrestricted cash of $5.2 million. In fiscal year 18, the City of Monroe implemented GASB 75, a new reporting standard required for all units. This was over OPEB, your other post-employment benefits. This had a significant impact on net position in your governmental activities, business type activities, and your enterprise funds. In previous years, this liability was amortized over a 30-year period. Now, due to this new reporting standard, the entire liability is recorded on the financial statements. This concludes my presentation. Does anyone have any questions?
Just one.
Sure.
That 1% other revenue, we just identify what that is, please, just for.
Certainly. I'll pull that slide back up so everybody can see it. Other revenues include other taxes and licenses, investment earnings, and miscellaneous revenues.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, ma'am.
I just want to say great job. I know you came out to General Services and did a presentation, and you've done another great presentation tonight, and it's easy to follow. And certainly great job to Lisa and to Ashley. Year after year since I've been on this council, we've had an outstanding audit, and that says a lot for who we are as a city, and thank you for your help as well.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else? Thank you for your
Just
presentation.
like to ask Ashley, what, or at least I didn't realize you was ready, let's see you answer. What year are we into the contract for Starnes right now?
We were just renewed, didn't we?
Yeah, this was our 6th year.
Yeah.
We did a 5-year continuation in the spring.
Okay, so we are continuing with Starnes.
Yes.
All right, very good, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, Lisa, I want to commend you and your department for a job well done, if you will. If you will, pass it on, Miss Lisa, to your department for a great job. Item 12, natural gas main extension and contributor to aid of construction, Don Mitchell.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'm here to talk to you tonight about a natural gas extension to serve Edwards Wood Products in Marshville, North Carolina. Edwards is a well-known company in Union County. They were founded in 1969. They do all types of wood products, pallets, green and kiln-dried lumber. They sell chips, mulch, bridge mats, all types of things made out of wood. They produce about 120,000 pallets a week, 250 million board feet of hardwood lumber. They currently use wood chips and propane for their heating processes, for their kilns and various things. They've approached us about installing natural gas boilers to take over their heating needs, and our calculations show they'd consume about 697,500 CCF of gas a year. We have looked at what we need to do to expand our gas system to serve the facilities. I actually have 2 facilities, one in just north of Marshville, one at the Union County, Anson County line. We're currently into Marshville. We serve the East Union Middle School there. We'd need to extend just under 9,000 feet of 6-inch polyethylene pipe, and then about 36,000 feet of 4-inch polyethylene pipe to serve the 2 facilities. Estimated cost is $1,255,909. There are funds available in the fund balance to cover this, and if you choose to proceed, we will be asking that a budget ordinance be approved. This is a map. It doesn't show up all that well of what the extensions will be. The black line starting at the left-hand side is the 6-inch polyethylene line that will be extended from Pilgrim's Pride to Olive Branch Extension Road. At that point, it'll branch with 2 4-inch lines, one continuing along Highway 74 to the Union County, Anson County line. The other will follow Olive Branch Extension up to the facility that's north of Marshville. The net revenues for this project won't recover our operating costs, our construction cost within 8 years. So due to our policy state that somebody's going to have to contribute a contribution and aid to construction to bring us to where we'd have an 8-year payback. That contribution is $71,032. In an effort to assist Marshville and Edwards Wood Products, Union County has some infrastructure funds. They plan to obligate up to $100,000 to offset this contribution and aid construction for us. Union County's Board of Commissioners is going to take that up at their February 4th meeting. If you choose to move forward with the expansion of our gas system to serve Edwards products, there's a couple actions we'd need tonight. One is to approve a memorandum of understanding that would be between Monroe and Edwards Wood Products, authorize the city manager to execute those documents, and approve the capital budget ordinance 2019-01 to provide the funding for the project. Be glad to answer any questions you have about the project.
Don, if we move forward with this, will there be opportunities for us to work with other businesses or residential customers in the Marshville area for them to be able to tap into that natural gas line?
Yes, sir. We'll extend the whole length of Highway 74 through Marshville, so any business or residents located along that will be able to tap the line and be served from it. Olive Branch Extension will have a line through that portion of Marshville, so they'll be able to, anybody along that will be able to tap it. And it will also put us in a situation where we can continue our 8-year payback for other projects that come along. And I envision this being a way that Marshville ends up fully served with natural gas. That once this is in place, there'll be other small projects where we serve a school or a group of homes that want natural gas. It's basically the same way we've expanded a lot of the rest of the natural gas system. We get a main line into an area and then use our 8-year payback period to make extensions off of that line to serve other areas.
Has there been any inquiries from the school system about maybe extending natural gas to Marshville Elementary?
Not yet. I think what we've seen with the school system and other places is once natural gas is close enough, they will make the effort to convert their heating systems to use natural gas.
And just finally, the contribution we're going to get from the county commissioners, do you foresee that contribution being limited in any way with any kind of interest that they might have in that area, or it's just a contribution that they would make?
My understanding, and Ron Mail with Economic Development, who's handling that portion of us here, my understanding is it's just a grant to us to offset the cost that Edwards would otherwise have to pay.
Should another commercial facility or residential company request to tie into the line, what would the procedure, would they have to come before council for the?
No, it'll just, they'd make application with our customer service folks, and
and they would just pay for the cost of?
Actually, there's no cost if it's within close enough proximity to the pipeline. There's no cost to extend our service to them.
Any other questions? Hearing none, thank you, Don.
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that'll pass. At this time, I'd like to recognize Mr. Scott Howard.
Got 2 more motions.
Still have 2 more things on this one.
I'm sorry.
Need a motion to authorize the city manager to execute all documents related.
Move to authorize the city manager to execute documents.
Okay. I was second on that.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
And then the last thing is you need to move approval of capital project budget ordinance.
Okay.
Motion to adopt the capital project budget ordinance.
Have a motion, have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. That'll pass. And again, at this time, I'd like to recognize Mr. Scott Howard, City Manager of Marshville. Certainly glad to have you with us tonight, Mr. Howard. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Okay, we public comment period. Okay, item 13 is public comment period. Is anyone here who would like to address the council on the public comment period? Hearing none, does the council have anything? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Have a motion, have a second.
Second.
All in favor, adjourn? Aye, we adjourn. Thank you, staff.
Bargain your vote, please.
Mr. Howard, thank you for coming up and being with us.